Welcome everybody back to segment 3 of January of Conversations with Archbishop Kurtz, and we have another treat for you today. We have our Superintendent of Schools, Leisa Schulz, is with us. Let me tell you a little bit about Leisa. Leisa has served this Archdiocese for close to 40 years. She was a teacher, a principal, a docent administrator, and for 20 years now, she's been our superintendent. Or as my children growing up used to say, the lady who closes schools when it snows. So many different jobs, yes. Thank you. She's been a great gift and a great leader for our schools here in the Archdiocese. Leisa, thank you for being here and have a conversation with the two of us, but tell us a little bit about what kind of year are we having this year?
We're having a wonderful year this year. Our schools are doing well. Our students are excited. We're getting ready to celebrate Catholic Schools Week a little bit later this month. We have a lot of wonderful new initiatives that are going on with our new assessment, a new math curriculum. So things are busy and exciting and very energizing in our schools.
Very good, very good. Well, the whole diocese benefits of. I know that your connection, even with your own parish, you and Bill, I think, are members of St. Bernadette.
Yes, we are.
So you get to see the church from the school world, the parish world, and we're really grateful. Archbishop.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me also say kudos to the way in which you work with teachers and staff in bringing out the best. I know with leadership, the last time you were on, we talked about leadership. I have a question that I did want to ask you that is dear to my heart and dear to so many people's hearts, and that is how, as Catholic schools, we reach out to children or young adults who have a special need and to their families. Tell us a little bit about that from the viewpoint of our Catholic schools, Leisa.
Yes, well, I think, Archbishop, we are communities of faith in our parishes and in our schools. And our mission calls us to reach out and to meet the needs of the children that we serve. And we do that in a variety of ways. Our predominant model is one of inclusive education, so that we're serving students within our schools and trying to differentiate to meet their needs. In our elementary schools, the students are there if they are having difficulties with learning or they happen to be excelling at learning. We'll work with them on intervention plans to make sure that their needs are met. We also have students that have diagnosed learning disabilities, so we do accommodation plans that involve teams, teachers, parents, leaders, students coming together to make sure that we're working on the right things, to make sure that that child is getting the best possible education. Our high schools have various levels of instructions and programs that they have in place. And we also have specific schools such as Pitt Academy and Immaculata Classical Academy that serve student needs K through 12.
Right. You know, a great insight that you mentioned, and that is that sometimes we overdo the word special needs as if it's a category of people separate from others. But in some ways, you've made it clear that every student will at some point bump into a special need that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
And so I think it's good for me, and as well as for our viewing audience, to be aware that that our teachers throughout the year need to accommodate and help bridge the gap with a learning process for our young people. But you were also very good to say there are times where there's a diagnosis where a particular person, as you know, my brother Georgie had Down syndrome.
Yes.
And so there might be young people with Down syndrome or with a special form of disability that they will thrive in an environment in which they're able to together bring out the best in one another. So you've had a couple of examples of that. You mentioned Immaculata Academy and Pitt Academy, and that's been for now a number of years. What's the mood that you see with regard to our schools, their ability to adapt? I'll tell you the reason I say that. When I was growing up, our pastor insisted that my brother Georgie get into school.
Yes.
The principal was not as thrilled. Not because she didn't like my brother Georgie, but because she just knew how taxed and burdened the teachers were. Now, the story ends well because he worked out very, very well within our schools. But I could imagine there's a bit of a tension there that you might find a teacher's experience?
I think so, Archbishop, and I think it's because when we accept children into our schools, we want to make sure that we can really give those children what they need in terms of learning and formation. And for most students, that environment works extremely well. However, all of us are going to have the need for some extra special attention from time to time, and we find that some of our students do need that. And that's why over the last several years, through our communities and collaboration, we've been very fortunate through your leadership and our elementary school plan to look at some different models that really provide us with both and solutions. You can have an elementary school, and we can look at a school within a school. St. Francis of Assisi has had a special intermediate unit over the last few years. Holy Trinity School opened the Clifton campus, serving students this year with language-based learning disabilities. And those models are doing extremely well. So we find ourselves now with, I think, a real dedication and a mission to look at serving and to be creative and collaborative in how we do that. And I think that's one of the most exciting things that I've seen is that all of us working together, because sometimes it's very difficult for a family to do it on their own, for a school, for a parish, but with all of us working together, I don't think there's anything that we can't succeed at.
That's beautiful. And before I turn it back over to you, Brian, I need to say how important it is within our church teaching to see the parent as the primary educator. That starts when we have baptism itself. And I think the manner in which you have approached things has been to, in a sense, in many ways, put the parent in the driver's seat and make sure that we are in good dialogue so that that family's child or children can not only survive, but they can thrive.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
You're
Brian,
welcome.
I know.
Leisa, before we end up today, you know, January always has a special week, Catholic Schools Week.
Yes.
Hits I think the last week of this month. And
Yes.
anything special planned for this year's Catholic Schools Week?
Well, yes, actually this year, Catholic Schools Week coincides with National School Choice Week. So that really speaks to all the choices that families have, and certainly we have wonderful choices within our Catholic schools. I encourage everyone to visit our Catholic schools during that week. If you're a family looking for a Catholic school, that's a wonderful time to do it. And if you're a family that has children in a Catholic school, there are all kinds of wonderful activities, open houses and faculty-student volleyball games and basketball games and crazy sock days, all kinds of wonderful fun things just to celebrate learning and being part of our Catholic school
Lisa, I
communities.
can't wait for Catholic Schools Week.
I know.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Listen, thank you for your faithful leadership and your great service to us. You serve us so well. Our schools are one of our treasured resources.
Thank you. It's a joy.
And thank you, viewers, for being with us for Conversations with Archbishop Kurtz, the January edition. And come back next month for the February edition. Thank you very much.